Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 4th May 2020, and these are the articles that we'll be dealing today. The first article for the day is taken from the Indian Express and it is titled The New Capitalism. So this talks about the various phases of globalization and the significant events that change the course of globalization. So to begin with, if we talk about the First World War, that is in 1914, nobody would have imagined the kind of catastrophe that World War I would bring to this world. So this was the phase where early stages of capitalism, mercantilism were flourishing, and this was the age where industrial revolution has significantly altered the course of our history. So what exactly is this globalization? If we try to understand the meaning of this word, globalization generally means that it is about free movement of capital, goods and labor. Now let us try to understand this in the present Indian context to understand this better. So if you are talking about capital, it is very easy for India to attract foreign direct investment or FPIs, and it is also easy to import goods compared to previous century, but it is still difficult for labor movement. I mean, if you take the case of H1B visa issue, which has always been the point of contention between India and US. So H1B visa is a restrictive visa because it cannot facilitate every Indian's arrival into the United States, because United States has certain limitations upon the number of people that can enter their country. So in strict terms, globalization can be treated as the free movement of capital and goods and a regulated movement of labor. One of the significant feature of the second phase of globalization that started somewhere in the 1980s after China came into the picture is the growth of global value chains. Now what do you mean by this global value chains? So most of the companies try to restructure their production patterns in such a way that they are trying to exploit cheap labor in Asian economies. So China has been at the forefront to take advantage of this concept of global value chains, and after its liberalization in the 1980s, it has consistently produced a growth rate of more than 10% for many years. And as a result, after the 2008 financial crisis, it became the gigantic economic power that we witness today. So it was in a position to take advantage of this enormous global value chains concept, where every country treated China as the place to go for producing their goods in a cheap and efficient manner. So virtually it came to be dubbed as the factory of the world, and it is because of this reason they almost produced every single goods for the rest of the world. Now the COVID-19 crisis is considered to be one such landmark event where there will be a significant alteration in the global structure. So we'll be going back to what the President of United States already emphasizes upon, that is the kind of polity where he emphasizes America first, or we are witnessing a trend of retreat of multilateralism. So this age of globalization will see a reversal in its trend, or probably the world is already moving towards web based models and not the large global value chains that we know today. So this model will change for good if any recent trends are to be looked at. So even the foreign direct investment would take a hit and it will move to political safe havens rather than worrying about cheap labor costs and rate of return. Even when it comes to labor flows, it is going to only get difficult going forward. That is the gist of this article. The second article for the day is taken from Live Mint and it is titled Look Beyond Keynes and Friedman to Revive the Economy. Now, in general, whenever we talk about economic crisis, we either talk about supply shock, where there is not enough production, as seen during the 1973 global oil crisis, or we can even talk about the demand shock that followed after the Great Depression. So COVID-19 is significantly different from all these scenarios because simultaneously and probably for the very first time in our economic history, we are witnessing both supply as well as demand shock. If we talk about the general Keynesian economics or the Keynesian stimulus, he states that market failures are very much real and it will lead to a slump in demand, and during times like these the state must intervene and push the consumption patterns of the public and also raise the investment in the infrastructure. That is the traditional Keynesian economics. So way back during the financial crisis imposed by the Great Depression in 1930s, the Central Bank of United States has resorted to a restrictive policy because the businesses were failing. Thankfully, RBI has done just the opposite and infused liquidity into the system, thereby helping MSME sector, NBFC sector, and various sectors of the economy. But the author warns that we cannot indiscriminately keep on printing money or financing the deficit. What is needed is a whole set of structural reforms which have been pending since 1991 itself. The first phase of liberalization that India has witnessed after 1991 can be followed up with the post-COVID reforms. That is, we have to focus on what matters the most. We are talking about the factor market reforms, namely land, labor, and capital. So, if we can focus on the issues concerning the land or labor, and we have to focus even on uncovered issues like agriculture, judicial reforms, if all these issues can be set in place, the intangible elements of our economy, the structural reforms, bring about these intangible elements of our economy. So once they are set, the investment climate will be more predictable, and only when this sort of investments come to our country in the long term, this growth will be sustainable. That is the gist of this article.